Good evening and welcome to our Fall 2024 open house. I'm Mr. Mike and I am excited to be teaching your learner this fall. Unfortunately, I will not be able to be with you today due to the fact that we have a softball game. However, I did want to make sure I mentioned a couple of things to you guys as we prepare and move forward throughout this semester. First of all, the class syllabus can be found as long as it's presentation in CTLS. Please take a moment to go over this policy and this syllabus with your learner. We've gone over it before, and students had to sign off on it to make sure that they had shared it with their parents. But please go over that policy again, in particular, the cell phone policy. I want to make sure that everybody is understanding what's going on. So if there's ever an issue in the classroom with your learner and their cell phone, I will refer you to the policy that we have in the syllabus on how we handle students with their cell phones in class. Next, by this point in time, everybody should have received a progress report from me. If you have not, please let me know. Students were required to bring those progress reports home and share with their parent what their current grade is and missing work that they have. And so that they can begin to start the process of recovery and making up those grades. And that's going to lead me to my late work policy. I do accept late work. So students have an opportunity to turn in work late. I do have deadlines, though, for that, and I indicate that to students. So I will let them know, like, hey, you have a week left to get this information in, and after this week time frame passes, you will receive a 0 for that work. So up until that point in time, students do have an opportunity to turn in work. I do understand that things happen and students aren't always on track. However, they are still responsible for making sure their work gets in, and I have that late policy in effect simply for that reason. So students, again, always have an opportunity to turn in work that they are missing and still get credit for it. One of the things I tell my students is that the only way that you don't pass this class is if you choose not to. So you have an opportunity to turn in the work and get a grade for that stuff. The only way you don't get a grade is if you opt not to turn it in. Another thing is that if you need to contact me, you can use CTLS parent to send me an email. That is typically the best way to get a hold of me. Please allow me 24 to 48 hours to respond, but I will make sure I respond and share with you and answer any questions that you have via that email. I'm really upfront, and I tell the students that as well. And if parents ask how is my child is doing, I will explain exactly what it is that they're doing in class, because I think it's important that we get the story right, because a lot of students will like to come home and share their version of what's happening in class, and they fail to add or bring up certain details that are happening in class. So we just want to make sure everybody is on the same page. And typically when students match what they're doing in class to what their grade looks like, you can see the resemblance of those two things. So we try and make sure and give students an opportunity to tell the story right before I have to go and have a conversation with parents about what's happening. So again, if you have any questions concerning your learner, please feel free to send me an email. And I would love to have that conversation with you. With discipline, I handle discipline in the classroom. It's not very often that I will send something home to parents. I pretty much handle that unless it's something that's really big that needs to be addressed or something that's had to be referred outside of my classroom. If there are issues and concerns that I have with your learner, then you will probably see an email that comes to me about certain issues or things that I see that are continuing to happen, even though we've addressed them in class. But for the most part, I handle the discipline here in class. And so far, we're off to a great start. We're off and running. And one of the things is my personal responsibility is to create an atmosphere in the classroom in which students can learn. And I take a lot of pride in making sure that that is done and having an atmosphere where they can focus and get things right. So that's why I say please pay attention to the cell phone policy. because there are times when they can use it, but when I tell them that they need to be off their devices, I am pretty much dead set on that. And so I just want parents to know that it is about creating an academic atmosphere where your learner can learn and grow and have access to information rather than access to social information. So outside of that, just the student expectations. I expect them to come to class prepared. I expect them to come to class and engage in what's going on. I do understand history is not always the most exciting thing to study, but I do try and make sure that we put some kind of flair, some kind of interest into what we're learning in social studies. So, but it is absolutely essential that they're here. When students miss class, they miss quite a bit of work because we move at a pretty high pace here in class. And so every day we're getting something different and something new. So it's important that your learner is in class and prepared to go when they're here. You won't see a lot of homework that comes home from social studies. We try and make sure that we do or complete it all here in class, and I give them time to get it done. The only way it becomes homework is if students choose to finish that assignment at home and bring it back the next day, and which is absolutely fine. So with that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Again, I hate that I could not be here at Open House with you guys so that I get a chance to personally meet you. However, if you do have any questions, please feel free to send me an email and contact me, and I will get right back to you and answer any questions that you have. Okay, so have a good night and enjoy Open House.